After the events of this last episode of The Shot, I gotta say, it's looking like Alicia is finally done playing. It only took her about 10 episodes to finally realize that Nuck was lying to her about Zay taking out Rob this whole time. Honestly speaking, I don't even know what's been going through her mind since the premiere of this season when she actually took out Zay, because she tells Tiff earlier on in the season that she doesn't actually believe that Zay took out her son. That's the whole reason why she was telling her she don't want to see her messing with Nuck as opposed to Trish. But it took the conversation with Toussaint and you knowing that Bakari was at the scene of Rob's death for you to then piece two and two together and realize Nuck was lying to you. But you already thought he was lying to you. Mind you, before Bakari gave you that cockamamie story that Reg was the one who put Rob down. Anyway, I'm not here to slander Alicia today. I'm here to talk about who's all in trouble after this episode. Because with this news that Toussaint finally confirmed to Alicia, it's looking bad for a couple characters as we approach the end of this season. So we're going to talk about these characters that I feel like are in dire straits at the moment. Fear the wrath of Alicia, a wrath that we've been waiting to see since Rob first gassed her up talking about she make Duda look like a saint. With all those things said, before I get to yapping, y'all already know what y'all got to do. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those things. I know the goal for the channel, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and 2,000 followers on TikTok before DreamCon 2026. Let's make it happen. I feel like there's no better way to start off this video than to highlight just how much trouble this man Bakari is about to be in after he has this conversation with Alicia in the next episode. We already know how much Alicia's looked out for Bakari this season. She provided him a scholarship in order for him to start his education and continue writing his book. She's gotten him in touch with publishers. She's provided him a job at her estate. This was looking real good for bro too until Detective Toussaint came back into the series. You know, Toussaint had a conversation with Bakari earlier on in the season where she was asking him about his involvement in Rob's death. She threatened to talk to Lene if he didn't tell her what he knew, so he did. I said it then and I'll say it now. She made it a lot easier for him because she brought up Red being involved in Rob's murder. And so now Bakari's relaying that news back to Alicia saying, hey, a detective stopped me today to talk to me about your son's murder. They were saying that Reg might be involved in his death. Mind you, Alicia don't know Reg from nowhere. Ain't even know what bro looked like when she had this conversation with Bakari. But she was so sure that he was the one who did it. When her and Charlotte pulled up to Jake's address, she just emptied the clip on this man Jamal, who she, I guess, thought was Reg. Putting bro in the hospital and then putting Reg on high alert. Fast forward to this conversation that Toussaint had with Alicia in this episode. He immediately confirms to Alicia that she feels like Bakari knows who killed her son. She first brings up Zay and then the detective says she don't really think that he was the one who did it. Then she goes to Nuck and the detective is shocked to hear Nuck's name. Obviously now we know she's going to look into Nuck and this murder. And I'm very curious to see how this conversation between Alicia and Bakari is going to go in this next episode. Because at this point, I don't know if he's going to tell her the truth or if he's going to continue to lie. He already knows Bakari was omitting information from her with his conversation with Toussaint, choosing to not bring up the fact that he was at the scene of Rob's death. Now she knows that he lied to her about Reg being the one to do it. If he tries to lie again, I just don't see him leaving that house alive. We know he's leaving that house alive. He has a conversation with Nuck in the next episode. We seen in the trailer Bakari's running away from a car on some Boys in the Hood shit. Yeah, right now Bakari's in between a rock and a hard place. Is he going to continue to offend his unaccountable employer? Or is he sick and tired of the lies? You gotta think, these lies put Lene's brother in the hospital. These lies have allowed Nuck to continue to be a menace out here on the street. On top of that, we already know between conversations Bakari had in season 6 and this season, he wants something more than this gang life. That's why he's latched onto the professor so hard. That's why he's taking his schooling seriously. That's why he's still on it with this book, because he wants to escape this gang life at some point. I think right now would be the perfect time to get Nuck about the way if I'm Bakari. But y'all let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think he's going to snitch on his employer in this conversation with Alicia going into this next episode? Since we're already talking about characters associated with Nuck who might be done for going to the end of this season, we gotta talk about Pastor Zeke. We know him and Nuck have been affiliated from damn near the beginning of this season. Similarly to what he was helping Duda do in the last season, now he's helping Nuck launder his dirty money through the church. During this time, Nuck in the past have had multiple conversations where Nuck has revealed that he's killed a couple people. In all these conversations, Nuck's always talking about stuff. I had no choice. After enough, I've had no choices. The pastor is kind of just like, bro, who you trying to be? If you don't know that, what are we even doing here? There's different ways to lead, all that. You know, he's trying to lead Nuck on the right path. And we see he himself is trying to get back on the right path too. He's trying to make amends with his wife, make things right with his daughter. He's leaving the snow bunnies in the past and focusing on the church. Gotta give the pastor some respect. His character development has been some of the best in this season. It's looked like he's done a complete 180, but he still has Nuck on his side, and that's a problem. Because now that Alicia knows what she knows, and now that the detective knows to look out for Nuck, he might start asking the pastor some questions. How do you know Nuck? Why did he start messing with you all of a sudden? You know he had ties to Duda. Did you have ties to Duda? This could be bad for the pastor, and one thing we know about the pastor that he cares about what people think. The last thing he wants is for this church that he's now taking over from Papa's pop to believe that he's affiliated with the 63rd Street mob in any capacity. Think about it. The other church he was just at already was on his head for messing with a white woman. He just got to this church and he's going to be exposed for being affiliated to the 63rd Street mob. I don't think he's going for that. I think whatever deal Detective Toussaint offers him, he's probably going to take to keep his clean image. I don't even think he's going to think about it. But I can still see this information coming out to the light of day. Maybe his wife hears about it and she's like, I knew I was right for not staying with you to begin with. To result in no relationship between the two going forward in this season. And also probably wouldn't like hearing that her dad was affiliated with this dude from the 63rd Street Mob, who's also the cousin of Zay, who was did dirty by Alicia earlier on in the season. God forbid Papa finds out that it was actually Nuck that took out his pops, and this pastor's been affiliated with Nuck this whole time. Mind you, the pastor already knows that Nuck did Pastor Stanley foul. So yeah, in my opinion, the pastor has a lot to lose going into the end of this season. He's somebody I would say need to sleep with one eye open and take any deal the detective offers him at this point. Moving to characters who's been doing espionage work for Nuck this season, meet Hannibal. Now I think some fans might forget, but Hannibal was introduced all the way back at like season 2 of the show. I'm talking when Brandon was still alive. He's been more prominent since Reg has been back, being his right-hand man essentially. More recently, he's acknowledged that Reg has been wilding. After beating Damien's ass and then shooting Emmett, putting him in a hospital, he decides, I gotta leave this guy in 2025. When Nuck tells him, look, if Reg try to come over here and stay at your crib, let him. We trying to get him locked up. I'm working with the feds to make that happen. Hannibal's susceptible at first, but after Nuck tells him that he's the one that told Duda to get Q up out of here, he see Nuck get shit done. He like, all right, I'm gonna work for y'all. I'm gonna help y'all get Reg off the street. See him hit up Reg, find out where he's staying, and immediately share that address with Nuck. Nuck sends the address to Toussaint, and then Reg notices that a car is parked outside this spot and has been parked out there for the past like 3 months. We know it's been about 3 months too, because Emmett first woke up from the hospital 3 months ago. This episode picks up 3 months after that, so Toussaint has been staking out this house for the past 3 months and somehow has not arrested Reg or even brought him in for questioning in that 3-month span. Talk about we need to catch him doing some shit he's not supposed to do. We need to see if he's still robbing ATM. Like, bro, I'm sorry, the brother shot somebody. I don't know the Chicago state laws, but I feel like he should at least be able to be brought in for questioning just for that alone, even if it was self-defense. See, Reg gets suspicious after seeing this car out here for the past 3 months, so he devises a plot, a big brain play, some might say. Someone's playing chess while his ops was playing tic-tac-toe. He tells his main shooter in this episode that he's gonna need her because he's trying to rob this jewelry store. His man's works there. He's gonna leave the door unlocked so they can go in, rob this jewelry. It's about $50,000 worth of jewelry in the spot. Of course, Hannibal was there during this conversation, and he lets Nuck know, look, he's gonna hit up this jewelry store tonight, so tell Toussaint to go over there and lock him up so that I could be done working for y'all. So Toussaint does just that. They get to the jewelry store as Reg and the shooter are leaving the spot and mask him on some Scooby-Doo shit though, and find out that it actually wasn't Reg and the shooter. No, instead it was two randoms who I think are affiliated with the 63rd Street Mob. Toussaint hits Nuck saying that she got a bad tip from him. Then Nuck hits Hannibal like, what the hell, dude? Thought you said they were gonna be robbing this spot. Hannibal like, that's what they said they was doing. So now, like Pastor Zeke, Hannibal needs to sleep with one eye open, because in this very next episode, there's no way Reg is not going to start thinking that he's suspicious. That car only started watching him after Hannibal found out his address. And now the cops are pulling up on what's supposed to be a very confidential operation. He has no reason to think that the shooter would go to the feds to let them know that they're running this operation, because they were promised $25K. He has no reason to think Keith would go ahead and tell the cops anything about this operation, because he linked him up with the shooter. An old girl crib that he's staying at, why would she go ahead and tell the feds anything? She go be an accomplice in all of this shit. Hannibal is the one who's the most to gain from this situation. So yeah, it's looking bad for bro in this next episode. I don't think he's making it to season 8, y'all. Now we gotta talk about the common denominator and all of the shit that I talked about in this video. Mr. Nuck-If-Ya-Buck himself. This man, of everybody else that I've spoken on in this video who needs to watch out, needs to just not sleep. He need to find a way to stay awake like he Blackbeard from One Piece, because it's looking bad for bro. We put y'all on game. 1. He lied to Alicia to start this season. He told her that Zay, his own cousin, was the one responsible for Rob's death. Had her questioning if Zay was even the one to really do the job, so then she believes what Bakari tells her later on in the season when he mentions that Reg could have been responsible for Rob's death. Pulling up to Jake's apartment, starting shooting, putting Jamal in the hospital. Bakari tells Nuck this the next day. Nuck says, cool, let her believe that. Then Nuck gets to work with Toussaint, which was honestly his biggest mistake of the season. She wants more information on Reg, and he can provide that to her through Hannibal. They've been working together. Things haven't been going as well recently. In this past episode, her and Alicia put 2 and 2 together that Nuck was potentially, most probably involved with Rob's death. Involved to the point of being the shooter of Rob. It's also bad for Nuck because Alicia knows that Nuck was the one who put down Duda. We also got tired of Pastor Zeke, who knows that he put down Pastor Stanley because Nuck offered him this information in the episode before last. We got Bakari in this episode who's put between a rock and a hard place with this conversation with Alicia. It's like he's gonna have no choice but to give up his employer to Alicia, letting her know that he was actually the one to put Rob down. I think if Hannibal's approached by Detective Toussaint, he might give up information letting her know that he now knows that Nuck was responsible partly for Q's death. You gotta think about this fake ass relationship he got with Tiffany. That shit is dead in the water when she find out what he did to Rob. And the worst part about all this is that his relationship with Ronnie, Keisha, etc. is going to be cooked. You think Keisha giving him privileges to see Ronnie after she find out that he took out Rob? Yeah, it's most over with for Nuck. I'm not even gonna lie. You might as well say goodbye to that boy right now and kiss him goodnight. You gonna be away for a while. Yeah, man, those are my thoughts on who I think is in the most trouble as we approach the end of this season of the show. Y'all leave your thoughts in the comments though. Who do y'all think is the most cooked of the characters that I spoke on in this video? Do you think Nuck's gonna face jail time, or do you think the streets of Chicago are going to see more bloodshed after Alicia get done with? As always though, I've been your host Jay, so I hope you've been entertained, and we gonna talk soon. Peace out.